bringing you the best in country and Irish music. This is your station, irishcountrymusicradio.com.
Oh, I just wanna dance with you.
There we have it. That is, of course, Daniel O'Donnell and I Just Want to Dance With You. And would you believe it? Daniel just wants to chat with us now at the moment. Daniel, are you on there? Have we got you there?
I'm here, Seamus. Can you hear me?
Daniel, how are you going on? Are you well?
Can you hear me? You can. Good on you.
I can, of course. And can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect.
Lovely to talk to you.
Well, it's great to have you on as well. I'll tell you, I've been looking forward to this interview, especially now because, you know yourself, you're a kind of a legend on the scene now at this stage. And
well, I suppose I'm long enough trucking anyway, whatever. If that makes you a legend, I must be.
But I was just saying there before you come on, like that you have, you've been all over the world, but you started in a little spot up there in Donegal, a little spot called Kincastle.
Yeah, I was born in Kincastle. It's a small wee village just out on the west coast of Donegal, between Donnell and Gweedore. And we're right on the Atlantic, really. It's a fishing, when I was growing up, it was a fishing village, you know, there was a lot of boats around and a lot of fishermen. And, my mother came from a wee island off the coast called Owie Island, and my father came from Burtonport, which was about 4 miles from Kincastle. And, I suppose we used to go to Owie a lot, where my mother came from. My grandmother lived there with my uncle and his family, his wife and family. So, we had a lovely upbringing, you know, growing up where we did. And everybody knew everybody. But typical countries. And then to tell you the truth, it's a lot like that today. I'm only living about 2.5 miles from where I was born. And so I'm very lucky, you know, to be still able to live in the area.
Yeah, there's no place like home, you know, yourself.
Surely, yeah.
Yeah. Now, of course, you had a star in the family when you were only a wee buck, as they say up there. Your sister Margo, of course, was on the
Margaret started singing when I was only about 2, you know. She started very young. She was only 14. I think, you know, I think she was just 14 when she started singing with the keynotes. Now, she was still at school and going out, I suppose, at the weekends. And a lot of people think then, because of that, you know, she's not 70 yet, Margaret. And, like, a lot of people think she should be a lot older because she's been singing for, like, nearly 60 years now. You know, 50 something, I suppose, 54, 55 years. 55 or 6 years. So, we were always very aware of music because of that, you know. And I grew up, you know, I suppose, listening to all of the songs and knowing the country singers from America and all the singers from here too. You know, I remember as a wee boy going to Dublin to a TV show where Margaret was singing and Big Tom being on it, you know. And I was only, I don't know what age I was, but, you know, just looking at Big Tom sitting on the seat, and he was such a big, he was a big man as well. He was a tall man. But just, you know, being in the presence of these people, you know, when you're very young and growing up with them, it's amazing. And then to get to meet them and to get to sing on the stages with them in TV shows, it's fantastic, really.
Yeah, as Margo, we had Margo on a couple of, when was it, about a month or 2 months ago now at this stage. Yeah. And, I happened to mention, I just said to her, like, that she was the queen of Irish country, and I said that you were the king, and straight away she was in. And
she wouldn't be long telling you the answer to that. No, there's only one king.
Yeah, she says, Big Tom, she says, is the king, and always will.
Big Tom is still the king, yeah. This God, he was great, you know. And we used to go to see him. Well, I suppose when I went to Dublin, I went to Dublin in 1980. I spent that summer washing dishes in the Central Hotel. My brother was a chef there. He was the head chef. So I left school in 1980 and I was going on to college, and I went washing dishes. And God, we went to 8 dances a week. Now you'd wonder how you could do that. We went 7 nights, and Sunday afternoon, when the restaurant would close in the hotel, between 2 and 6, there was a ceilidh down in the Irish club, and we would head for the ceilidh, and you'd be running back to get back in time for the dining room opening at 6 o'clock. And then we went out every night of the week to the Irish club and the Iron and the TV club and the Olympic and the National. There was dances on, so it was a great time. You know, that was before I started singing. I started with Margo then in 1981. It'll be 40 years on the 28th of January coming now since I started with Margaret and the Rag and Turles.
40 years, wow. Where does that time go, you know?
I know. I was 19. I was 19 in the December, and I started with Margaret on the end of January, yes.
And then, of course, you were with Margo there for a couple of years.
I was 2 years.
2 years, yeah. And then you decided to head out on your own.
I made a record then. I recorded my Donegal Shore and Stand Beside Me in 1983 on the 9th of February, and just the link with Big Tom again, I went to Big Tom Studios in Castleblaney and recorded it there. Basil Hendricks was working with T.R. Dallas at the time, and we used to be in the Mulroy Hotel staying in London, just in Kilburn. And all the bands stayed in it, you know. God, when I think back on it, we all slept in the one room, 5 or 6 of us in the one room. Beds kind of on the floor, really. Yeah. You know, and, you wouldn't even hang up your clothes. Your clothes were spread on the bed beside you. It was amazing what you did, and you never even thought about it. You know, you just didn't even think that you should have a room of your own. It was just, you were delighted to be doing what you were doing. Yeah. But I met Basil Hendricks, and Basil said, he says, "Oh, Basil was from Birmingham." He says, "You're well able to sing." He says, "Why don't you make a record?" You know. So I then went to Big Tom Studios and mustered up the money to do it. And on the 9th of February, as I said, 1983, I recorded Donegal Shore, Stand Beside Me. And I recorded 2 more songs, London Leaves, a Boxcar Willie song, and another one that was never released, and I have no record of it now, or no recording of it. It was called Married by the Bible, Divorced by the Law. It was an old country song. But I released Stand Beside Me and Donegal Shore. On the A side was Stand Beside Me because it was up tempo, and Donegal Shore on the B side. And you know, after a while, it was my Donegal Shore that became very popular. Now it wasn't in the charts on the radio or on the the Irish charts, but it got huge play at that time. Pirate radio was very big then. You know, there was radios everywhere, and they started playing. About 85, I recorded an album then for Ritz Records in 84 going into 85, and Donegal Shore was on it, and Our House as a Home was on it, and Tipperary Town. It was, and Ricky Skaggs was the big country singer, and I recorded Crying My Heart Out Over You, and I Wouldn't Change You If I Could. That was his songs. So Donegal Shore then, as I said, started to get a lot of play on the local pirate radio stations, and that really was the beginning of it. That's what started the whole thing. And from there, I suppose about 86, I had the first group 83, and then I had a different band then, just a bit, I suppose, I don't know, was it bigger or different? I suppose it was hard to keep people together because there was very few, places we could play, and there wasn't many coming to see us. So from 84 then to January 86, I had another band. And again, it was difficult, getting people out, even though, you know, I had been with Margaret and everything. It wasn't great, you know. And then in 86, it was like somebody switched on a light. You know, I can never say, people would say, well, what happened? I wasn't doing anything different. I finished with the band, we called them the Grassroots, in 86 January, and I started then with the band that I was with then, or was with me for a lot of them for nearly 30 years, before I took the break in 2016. They had been with me all that time, and I started back with them in the March. We did an English tour first, and then we came back, and the first night was in the Milford Inn in Donegal, and the place was packed. And that was the beginning of it. And I can never understand what it was that changed, other than that the record, I suppose, was getting the play on the local radio. And I remember, am I talking too much?
Oh no, God, no, I'm fascinated
I remember, you know, in the Milford Inn, the dressing room was below the stage. It was underneath the stage, so you were down getting changed, and you just walk up to come onto the stage. And I remember one of the boys came in and they said, "God, there's a wild crowd out there." And then the band went up, and the people started chanting my name, and I got afraid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like, I was almost afraid to go out, you know, that it was beyond belief. And I remember for a long time we would arrive places like, and there would be maybe, at that time there was a lot of hotels, you know, that you did dances in hotels, and there'd be a wild lot of cars. And I remember often saying, there must be a wedding on, you know. But they would be all there to see us. It was just incredible and so enjoyable to, and sometimes, you know, I just say, you know, to the young ones like Nathan Carter and Derek Ryan and different ones that are doing really well now, I would say, be sure that you enjoy it and realise. I didn't realise, I suppose, I was that busy. I says, take a wee bit of time for yourself too, and don't be exhausted. Do you know?
Yeah.
Just because we just did every night that we were asked to go out, and every day we were asked to go out. I said, I would go to the opener of an envelope if somebody asked me, because you felt that it wasn't going to last, you know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
And but it was an incredible time, you know. And now with the lockdown, I'm here in the house now, and only yesterday I was sitting just in my memory, going back to the different places, and I was thinking about, you know, small places that we played, like, I was talking to somebody in Waterford, and we used to play Lemmy Bryan, Crotties and Lemmy Bryan, and it was fantastic, you know, the atmosphere that was there. And of course we did Katie Riley's Kitchen there, and we used to be in Caesar's Palace in Bunclawdy. Yeah. I remember even with Margaret being in Kilmuckridge, you know.
In the Hydro.
The Hydro in Kilmuckridge. Yeah. But then we started doing down in Eddie's place, the Unyoke,
the Unyoke,
you know, when we started doing well. I remember going there one night, and there was a kind of a steps down at the back going up to a division. I don't know if you're...
I know it well.
Do you remember it?
I do, I remember very well.
I remember them opening the division, you know, way at the back that you could... I don't even know if they could hear down that far, you know, because the equipment was only just... everything was in a transit van at the time, you know. But I'm very grateful, you know. People have been fantastic to me, you know. And then I suppose it extended to the UK. We recorded then, you know, different songs. I Need You then, I suppose, after Our House is a Home, of course, to Stand Beside Me. John Glenn had recorded Our House is a Home. That's where I heard it. Yeah. And I suppose a lot of people think that it was me was the first, but John Glenn recorded it first. But I loved it and started singing it. And it became then, I suppose, popular for me, Our House is a Home. And then I recorded I Need You in 1980, about 1986 again, or 85, 86. That was on the I Need You album. And that was the song that started getting radio play in the UK, you know, on Radio 2 and all the local radio stations. So then in 1987 we started doing concert tours. We had been going over like to the dance halls, Irish dance halls, the National and all these places, you know, the Gresham and the Galtymore and all around Birmingham and Manchester. But we never kind of went out to be outside that much, you know. And then I remember in I think it was 86 maybe, or maybe 87, I think it was 86, going to Norwich. And I didn't know where Norwich was, to be honest, you know. But I remember going out and we were put on the radio on the car, and they played one of my songs, and I said, God, well, at least they'll know, you know, what we're singing. And the man that ran the theatres, the Theatre Royal, was called Dick Condon. He was from Dublin, and he was a lovely man. And we met Dick, and he says, oh, you've done very well. He says, it's 90% full, you know. And I thought this was great. And I said, will there be a lot of Irish here? Oh, he says, only about 5%. And I thought to myself, God, how am I going to manage? Do you know, you just don't think, I didn't think, you know, that it would be an audience other than an Irish audience that would be listening, you know.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning. We went to, you know, other places then up in the north of Scotland. Then Brendan Shine had shows in Inverness and Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And he got a bad throat and he had to cancel, and the lady running it didn't want to cancel because she had a whole lot of people, and she came on to see would I come up, and we did go up, and I think that was 86 again, or maybe early 87. And that then was a great, I often say to Brendan Shine, that's the best sore throat you ever got. You know,
yeah.
Because we went up and, you know, there was an audience there because the show had been advertised before. But, I mean, they knew Brendan wasn't coming. And you know, there was lots of different things, you know, when you go back in your memory that were very significant in the early days.
Yeah, things are just...
but it's the audience at the end of the day, you know, Seamus. It's the people, you know, and down through the years, you know, so many people are coming to see us that were coming, you know, over 30 years ago, which is incredible.
Well, of course, you see, you'd have a great reputation, and it's always been said that Daniel will sit down and he'll meet the people after, and if it's 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning when the last person is leaving, Daniel is still there chatting away, and you have a memory that the late Jimmy McGee would have been proud of, and he was known as the memory man, that you seem to know everyone, that you know, all your fans anyway.
Well, I suppose I have a good memory, but you know, I suppose it's a fact of getting older. I can remember the people from years ago, like, so well, but sometimes you meet people more recently, and it's a wee bit harder to get the name caught, you know. That's, I suppose, a sign of the times. Or even the songs, you know, songs that I would have learned in the beginning, away and years ago, I could nearly sing them without rehearsal. But the newer songs, when you you learn them. But if you stop singing them for a wee while, you really have to, you know, go back and listen to them again to get it. Whereas the older songs, somebody might shout it up, and I would go through it a lot of the time, and just it's in the back of my head. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a kind of like, it's nearly like, well, I was going to say muscle memory, but it's nearly automatic. You can remember, and you don't have to draw too much on it. Of course, like, I mean, you said about making it big in the UK. You have a record over there as well in the UK charts of every year since 87 or 88 you've had an album, a different album. Yeah.
I know, isn't it? It's amazing, really, I suppose. I suppose not many people record as much as I did over the years. I've recorded an album every year. Some years I had 2 albums released, but at some point every year we'll release an album. Now it's usually around this time, October, November time, we're coming up to Christmas. And again, down to the loyalty of the people. They're out there buying the album, or now I suppose getting it online or ordering it whatever way they can. And every year, I mean, this year remains to be seen, but at some point every year there's been an album, and a lot of them in the top 20, even top 10, yeah. Some of them, you know, which I suppose for the type of music that I'm doing, it's not on the radio every day, you know, all over the world, but yet the audience is there that enjoys it.
Yeah, no, it's it's what I was going to say there is, you see, it's since 87 you have had a different album in the UK charts, the UK album charts, a different album every year from then. So that's what, 33 years you've had a different album. Like, there's no one else has that, a record even close to that. Like, I mean, even the Rolling Stones, like, I mean, wouldn't have a record like that, like, you know, and they've been on the go nearly as long as, well, actually a little bit longer than yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm very grateful. I mean, I always put it back to the people that has followed what I've done since the beginning, both you know, here at home as well, you know, because you know, when you think about it, that you know, we're still going out and getting good audiences all these years later, to be able to say that it's 40 years and still, you know, be at the level that I'm at. You know, I was saying about how in the beginning you did everything and just kept thinking it wouldn't last. It's just incredible, you know, how it has lasted. But it's all down to the support of the people. So very grateful, you know, I am.
Now, you've been, of course, as well as the UK, you've been across you've been all over the world as such, like, I mean, and even down one night a number of years ago, you were in Adelaide, if I'm not mistaken, and the power went, and...
God, that's right. Yes, we were in Adelaide, and there was a wild storm in the evening, and the electricity went out. And it was summertime there, so it was like a summer thunderstorm. And we didn't think much of it. You know, the Adelaide show was on at the time as well. It's a big, big show that's on. And we were there, and the lights were off, and we were waiting 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock came, and then 6 o'clock, and there was no sign. And then the word came that it was a very bad strike, and that whatever, you know, whatever you call the thing was damaged. I can't mind.
Generator or the transformer, yeah.
Whatever transformer, you know, one of the main hubs or whatever for the electricity. So then the thing went up for a generator, but because the big show was on, all the generators were out, you know, and they couldn't get a generator, and we were there, and the people then were outside queuing, and I went out, and I said to the people in the hall, I says, well, would you not let them in? And they had one of these megaphones. I says, would you not let them in? And sure, we can do something. So I went down the line of the people, you know, talking to them, and eventually they let them in. I suppose health and safety, maybe it wasn't right, but they took them in with torches, and people sat wherever, you know. I suppose the majority of people came in, and I don't know if any of them went home. So we decided, I said, sure, we can do something. So we went out on the stage with the megaphone and all the band. Ronnie had the accordion, John Staunton had the guitar, the drummer, was it Billy was with us?
I think it was, yeah.
Was it Billy at the time? I don't know, was it Billy or Nigel? He came out and drummed, I don't know what he had with him, just drummed maybe with a wee drum. And the girls were the backing singers, so, and Stephen, obviously had no, piano, but they play, I don't know what they were all playing something anyway. And, I sang through the megaphone. And you know this, the atmosphere was tremendous. And eventually, after I suppose maybe an hour or so, the lights came on, you know, and then they got a wee speaker, so we went into the wee speaker, and then the lights came on, and we then went off and got togged out. So we were out just like in jeans and whatever we were outside. We took a break then, and we came back out, and I said to them, we'll do another bit now, like this, and that was the show in Adelaide. So the next day, the radio was full of it. I was on the radio talking about the show that went on the night before, and even yet, when we go back, and all you do everything perfectly and everything is terrific and the sound, many of the people say, we'll never have a night like we had when the lights went out.
there's probably people that are, there's probably, whatever number was in the auditorium that night, there's probably about 10 times as many people saying, I was there that night. You know, it's nearly,
I know.
like a badge of honour.
Amazing, yeah.
And of course, as I say, you've been in Adelaide, you've been over in the States, and you've Nashville and that, and recorded with some of the big fellas as well, or the big stars over there.
You know, I suppose that's another thing, Seamus, you know, when you think about it. I mean, I have always loved Loretta Lynn and Charlie Pride, loved Cliff Richard too. That would be my 3 favourite singers. And I've got to record with, the 3 of them. When I was doing the country album, I kind of did a tribute to country, the classic country songs, and we did. I said to Sean Riley, who was my manager at the time, I said, wouldn't it be lovely? I says, if we could get Loretta Lynn and Charlie Pride to record a song with me, and we contacted them, and as big a stars as they are, they just said sure. No problem. And I recorded Crystal Chandeliers with Charlie Pride, and we recorded one that Loretta had written, I Want to Be Free. And, sometimes when I sit and just play them, I think to myself, to go from being a fan of somebody to get that opportunity. And Charlie has been in a number of shows. When we did the show at the Ryman that we did for PBS television in America, Charlie came and guested on that, and I went out one time then and stayed with Loretta in her house. She's a lovely person, and I phone her every so often. She had a stroke about 3 years ago now. So I call her every so often. Her mobility, I think, is not great, but she's very alert, and, she hasn't did any shows since she had the stroke. But I phoned her not only about less than 2 weeks ago just to see how she was doing, and I come off the phone and I say to myself, God, isn't it amazing that I loved her so much singing, and that that I'm on that level. I think not many fans get that chance. And the same is true for Cliff. When Cliff was recording a duets album himself, he asked me if I would record with him, you know. So, it's more than ever I could have ever imagined that I would get to do. And more than that, I mean, when I think even here, in Ireland, all the singers that, we grew up listening to, that you've got to meet them all and sing with them all at some point. And now since I started doing Opry, I've had nearly all of the Irish singers, maybe not all, but an awful lot of the Irish singers of the generation before me, have been on. So it's been super.
And you mentioned Opry, of course, as well as being a singing star, you have branched out into television. And you have, of course, Opry wouldn't have been your first TV show. Was it the early 90s you had a TV show there to start off with? Would that be right?
Well, 89 was 89, the first time.
Yeah.
I did a TV show, and when I look back on it, I was no way prepared for doing it at all, because I was only, I suppose 86, 87, 88, I was doing well enough, but television is a different animal altogether, but it was great, to get the opportunity to do that. And then I've had a number of shows, over the years on television. And then, of course, the Opry, I think, is a great platform for music. I mean, T.G. Cahir do a great job for Irish singers, because they have lots and lots on, and it gives a great platform to the younger people too, that, are getting their foot in the door. And then, of course, then we did, Magellan and myself did the B&B trips and the one in America, which is very different because it's not music based at all, it's a kind of I don't know what you'd call it.
A travel show, a difference.
Yeah.
So. You've been all over with that, both in Ireland and across the way, as the fella says.
Yeah.
But as you were saying there about the Opry Le Daniel, you're able to bring in both the older stars and the up and coming stars as well. And your own grasp of the Gaelic, the Irish, must be fairly good.
Well, I'm not too bad. I mean, I'm not fluent in Irish, unfortunately. I do live in the Gaeltacht here, but where we live, we just don't speak the Irish. 4 miles from us, everybody speaks. But my mother didn't have it. My mother, as I said, came from Owie Island, and it was I think it's the only island off the coast that Irish wasn't spoken. And all the other islands, Irish would have been the first language. But on Owie Island, they didn't speak. Even the older people, didn't have the grasp of the Irish. So we didn't have it at home, But my sister then, Kathleen, married a fella from an Irish-speaking part, not far from us here, called Crevey. And I loved playing cards, and they played cards all the time. His parents, God rest them. And I used to go up and we'd play cards from morning till night. And they spoke all Irish. So I got a greater grasp of Irish listening to them. Now I still have people helping me when I'm doing the shows, but I have I like it, and I sing a bit in Irish too. The Dervla Newcurran and Sally Dever, I suppose, helps out too. But Dervla translates some of the English songs that I would have recorded, and it's a nice opportunity to do it,
Yeah, you were saying there about T.G. Cahir. I mean, they have Glór Tíre, they have Opry Allure, they have Opry Le Daniel. There's a lot of, Glór Tíre really do push.
Oh, they do. They do a great job. You have to take your hat off to them,
And have you any other shows then lined up as regards to, or would they be top secret now?
Well, no. There's an Opry show on at the minute that we had recorded last year before the lockdown started. And I don't know when we recorded. I can't mind, but it's a while ago anyway. And we have nothing now new that we're doing, other than, of course, I suppose we're all aware that at the minute there's no shows. Everybody's off the music trail, and all the young singers and bands that had no work. So we're going to do a live stream. I did a lot of stuff on Facebook, but I was very aware that the band and those working behind the scenes with me had no income since March.
Yeah.
So I asked them if they wanted to do a live stream. I said, I'm fine if you want to come together. So we're on the 1st of November. We're going into the Millennium Forum in Derry. Now, without an audience, and the show is going to be put out live on the internet, and people can buy a ticket for it. It's really just to help out the musicians, and we have some people working in the office too that we didn't put on the COVID, so it's just to cover a bit of that, but mainly for the musicians and the back, the sound people, so that hopefully they'll get a bit of a payday out of it, The tickets will be available through the website, and it'll be up on Facebook on the website. They're not quite ready for sale yet, but you can buy them, and then it'll explain how people that are better on the internet will be able better to explain it. But it's very easy apparently, and you can watch it then at home on your phone or your computer, or I believe you can put it up on the television somehow from the phone or the computer. I don't know how that happens, but so it's the 1st of November at 7:00 in the evening. We're going to do that show, and I hope people, like when I was doing the Facebook lives, and I will do them again too, after this, but there would be some nights there would be 8,000 people watching, live, and after that then there would be more would watch it at other times, but so I was thinking, sure, if some of them come on and buy the ticket for it, it'll give, the band and that some, coming up to Christmas, it's just, hopefully it'll make things a little easier for them.
And sure, maybe if it's a success, you might do a few more. Maybe.
Well, we'll see. There's a lot of organisation in it too, but anyway, it'll be fine. I mean, we're looking forward to it. It'll be lovely to get to play and sing with everybody again. The only side is no audience, and we're hoping for the Millennium Forum, but like that again, things are changing. Initially they said, you could have a small audience, but we thought then, with the way things are changing and with counties going into lockdown, that, if we don't have an audience booked, it's easier rather than to have to cancel them and tell them not to come. And plus the fact that if there's something happened that we couldn't go to Derry for some reason, because we don't know how things are going to be in a month's time, we could go somewhere else. I said, even if we end up coming into the house here and socially distance ourselves, we'll be able to do it from somewhere. So hopefully people will enjoy that, when it comes out. And it'll be left up then for a week that, people in Australia that maybe wouldn't be able to watch it, because it's hard to get the time right for Australia and New Zealand, and I suppose other places that people would watch. So 7:00 in the evening here, is in the middle of the night there. So it's going to be left up, and even that they can buy the ticket and go in after the event to watch it. It'll be left there for a week, and then they'll be able to watch it, at any time if they can't watch it live,
And of course, anyone that wants to get their mother or father or anyone, brother, sister, or that an early Christmas present, it's a handy way.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it'd be a nice, I suppose, thing if they enjoyed the music. And it'll be the tickets will be not available. It'll not be available for maybe a number of days yet. But on the website DanielO'Donnell.org and the Facebook page, it'll be there how you get the ticket, and I suppose you do it with a credit card or something, pay. And
or PayPal or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. And the reason that we're putting them out ahead of the date is that, I suppose, because it's the internet, if everybody went on to buy at 6:00 in the evening on the evening of the show, it would be too much pressure, I think, on the system. Yeah. So if you have your ticket ahead of time, they're out for, 3 or 4 weeks, people are not all buying it at the one time. Do you know, that kind of way?
We could have headlines like Daniel O'Donnell crashes the internet.
I know. So I hope it all works now. I'd be amazed, that everything works out, when you're on this internet thing. I mean, even the Facebook now tested me fairly strongly when I was started out, and even the very last night that I did it, I was still saying, "Are we on? Are you there?" You're just never sure.
Well, reports upon the social media anyway was that it went down very well, because it was very much there was nothing it was very much Daniel, if you know what I mean. Like, it was just someone trying to get you. I mean, when you wouldn't be social media savvy. You know,
I know. I suppose a lot of people were thrown in at the deep end, and Magella's better than me, you know, and we were just thanking God, as we say to the Focal Moor, that we didn't say anything out of turn.
And the big words, as the fellow says, the big words.
Yeah, the Focal Moor. If they're listening in another country now, Focal Moor is the Irish for a big word. Focal is word, and Moor is big.
Well, I tell you, Daniel, I have so many people here that just want to say a quick hello to you, and hoping that you might say a quick hello back to them. If you don't mind, I have, there's Lev and Gloria Jackman. They're in New Brunswick
for goodness sake.
Yep.
My goodness. You know, we have such good times when we go to New Brunswick. We went to Harbour Station there. That was what we see, that in Moncton, and then we did Nova Scotia as well. Of course, we did Moncton the last time, but we've been to Harbour Station, and I can't mind. I think it's called New Brunswick there. And, but that eastern part of Canada is fantastic. Very like the Irish, you know.
So I believe, I believe, very like the Irish. And Seamus, you're very popular there. You're on the number one list of entertainers in Canada, would you believe?
Well, we enjoy it immensely, and we've been to, Halifax, and we've been to Sydney, and Nova Scotia as well, where Rita McNeil was from. And, so we've had great shows in that area. Hopefully, please God, if the virus is gone we're hoping that we'll do the shows in Killarney next August, the ones that we were supposed to do just the weekend past there. Yeah. So they're rescheduled for August. So please God, we don't know, but please God. And if everything is back to normal and we're able to go as we always did, we'll be in Canada in September next. That's the plan, that we'll do a Canadian tour. Before we do the UK tour, and then America, and then Dublin. So that's the deal.
Well, Lev says that he has never had the opportunity to see you. He says Gloria has been to a number of your shows, so he'll be delighted to hear that. And Lev, if you're listening...
Well, he'll have to ratify it the next time now. No excuses.
No excuses, no. And we have Valerie Wild in from South Africa, a huge fan of yours as well.
My goodness. We never got to do a show in South Africa. I was once in South Africa. I went out to visit a friend of mine that was a nun out there. I would say it was the late 90s I went out, maybe 99, and I did a few radios and televisions, but we never did any shows. And I know the music is popular, and Charlie Farrell was telling me that he did a few shows on Facebook as well, and putting up things, and he's going to be on again, he told me, this Sunday on Facebook. Sunday coming, I think. He goes on about 7:30 on Facebook, Sean O'Farrell, those people that he did a great job maybe about a month ago. And he was telling me that he gets a load of people from South Africa watching. Jim Reeves was very popular in South Africa, and in India and Sri Lanka. They just love the Jim Reeves music,
And we have Maureen Burke is listening in there in Leitrim as well.
Hi Maureen, how are you doing?
And Michelle Orr is listening in over in Bedford in England. She's a huge country music fan as well.
You, Michelle.
And then Marie Byrne, she's there herself, and her brother Patrick Conway, and Mammy Eileen.
For God's sake, down. Is it Camolan they're from?
Camolan, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that lovely to hear from them?
Yeah, lovely people actually, very nice people.
Yeah, I know them well. I mean, again, I've known them since the very beginning.
Yeah.
The very beginning, you know.
And they're big fans, of course, of Margo's as well. So, yeah. And then we have Christine Whitmore is over there in England. She's listening in as well.
Hello, Christine.
And and Tom Kennedy and his wife Leslie are listening in.
Tom comes, he sang with me one night. I'm sure it's the same Tom. We sang the 40 Shades of Green. We were at a dinner dance that they have in Colchester, or Copdock down near Ipswich. And Tom was at it, and I knew Tom, was a singer, and I knew that he sang that. So I said, would you sing it with me, Tom? So the two of us sang the 40 Shades of Green. It was lovely.
Yeah. You've gotten around, as the fellow says, you've gotten around. And Tom McCracken as well over there, he's in England as well, and he was dropping by to say a quick hello to you.
Hello there.
And Michael McGlone, I presume you might know Michael, is a great squeeze box player up there in Sligo.
Yes.
And he's the president.
You have everybody tuning in.
Oh yeah, a load listening, alright. And Ron Hinsley, he says that his mother, Therese Hinsley, she's sadly departed now, but she was a huge fan of yours, and he said you were always very nice to her, and he said to God bless you, Daniel.
Where is Ron from? That name is familiar.
He's Wolverhampton, and he spends a bit of time in Wales as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Right, okay.
And Margaret Moore is listening in up there in Auchnacloy in County Tyrone.
Good on you. The Tyrone people are good. That's Philomena's country.
Yeah, Philomena, she'd be only next door.
Just down the road.
And then we have Billy Coughlin and his mother Maureen there in Aglish in County Waterford, and they've been huge fans of yours. And
Paddy O'Brien's country.
Yeah, Paddy O'Brien's country. And so if you could say hello there to Billy and to Maureen.
How are you doing, Billy and Maureen? Lovely to know you're listening.
And they sadly missed your show in Killarney this year because they were booked in to go and all, so hopefully please
God, next year we'll get it.
And of course JP is on the station here, and Pat Garrett on the station here is a huge fan of yours.
Yes, I know them, I've met Pat, and yeah.
Now, and then Kaylee Arnold. Now, her mother, Nicola, is listening in, and we have Sonny, her dad, and of course we have Mr. Mini Gigi, as we call him. He's a big Jerry Guthrie fan. That's Ian Arnold, and Aoife. Now, Kaylee is 20 in a couple of weeks' time, and I was wondering, Daniel, if you could actually say a happy birthday to Kaylee, because she has you second only to Mr. Derek Ryan in her...
that's not so bad.
No.
That's not so bad.
So if you could say quick...
Happy birthday, Kaylee. I hope you have a lovely birthday. I know it's hard to be celebrating, I suppose, but sure, listen, enjoy it as best you can, and you'll be able to celebrate again.
Well, I'm just conscious of the time here, Daniel, because we have Joe Harrington is coming on very, very soon.
Oh, well, be good. You better vacate the seat.
So I'll have to vacate the seat now in a minute. But thanks a million, Daniel. It's been great to have you on. I've been looking forward to this interview for a long time. And thanks a million for dropping by and taking the call and all that. And
thank you very much. It's very good of you to give the time. And just everybody listening, thanks a million for all you've allowed me to do. And I hope you are well. And please God, that this will pass. It's been a tough time for so many, and especially those people who have lost loved ones. It's a very sad time. But please God, as I say, we'll get past it, and I hope that some people will enjoy the live stream that we're going to do on the 1st of November.
So the 1st of November, and hopefully from the Millennium Forum there in Derry, you'll have Daniel and his band there, and it'll be a live stream, full show and all that, and get your tickets.
And I won't be in charge of the button, so it should work.
Magella is going to take over that duty for the night, is she? But thanks a million, Daniel, and it's great to have a chat with you.
Thank you very much, Seamus. A real pleasure, and God bless and good luck to you. And listen, thanks for all you do. You do a great job bringing the music to everybody all over the world. It's just fantastic.
Thanks a million, Daniel. And of course, this is one of your first hits, of course, Stand Beside Me.
Lovely.
Thanks a million, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Stand beside me, for if I should lose you, I just couldn't get anywhere. Stand beside me, stand beside me, you're the only one who ever made me care.
Bringing you the best in country and Irish music. This is your station, irishcountrymusicradio.com.